Live. Okay.
Aye.
Hello, everybody. Hi, guys. Welcome
Aye.
to episode 20 of Staying Connected. Obviously, the way that we do it, tri-weekly, we have a learner on the Monday, and we have just me and him from usually on the Wednesday. And then on a Friday, we usually have someone from an organization. So today, we have joining us Lisa from Sunderland People First. So hello, Lisa.
Hi, Danielle. You all right? Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So how you doing? How's tricks?
Good. Yeah. Full of busy. Obviously, the world's changed for everybody
I know it's pretty crazy, right?
massively. It is. It's a bit mad, but you have to get on with it, don't you?
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, you do. So, um,
yeah, no,
yeah.
it's yeah, and I think that everybody's had like a pretty big kind of shift in terms of like what they've been doing, and obviously it's affected like everybody. I don't think there's many people who it's like hasn't affected at all. So like globally
No.
as well, like not that just me, like not just in England, like literally everybody in the world, everywhere ever is it's affected.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Everybody got to learn how to use Zoom very quickly.
I know exactly. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, like pretty much because it's like everybody. It's like people talking to their grandma, people in offices. So like everybody's had to learn how to use like Zoom or something like that. So yeah,
I mean, it's just as well we do have it because life would be very, very, very different if we didn't have all this technology.
exactly. Yeah, I mean that's if well, if you look back at like the Spanish flu, right? Like obviously that's totally different
Yeah,
like thing, but like similar. And they didn't have the technology then, so they wouldn't have been able to stay connected, and they had to do like a very like similar stuff. So yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
crazy. I saw a picture actually. I don't know if you've seen it. It was like a picture from the Spanish flu, and they all had like face masks on, and it was
yeah.
it was quite eerie because you think like that's just like now, and it's like nearly 100 years like since. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, it's really wild.
It
Um,
is. And
yeah.
obviously, yeah. So, do you want me to talk about Sunday People first?
So what I want to ask you is, yeah, usually I would just say like, who are you and what do you do? So just like a brief introduction for those who are watching who may not know who you are.
Yeah. So I'm Lisa Clark. I'm the CEO, the chief executive of an organisation called Sunday People First. We are a community interest company, and we are what we call a user-led company, also, which means the people that we serve, that we deliver to, are also members of staff and also sit on our board of directors. It's very important to us that is the case, because we're a great believer in real experts by experience rather than just being an expert because you went to uni or you went to college or whatever. Like it's about having that real life experience. So we deliver training, awareness sessions. We deliver group training, one-to-one training. We do campaigns, and it's all to do with improving the lives of people with a learning disability and autistic people. So there are, I think we have there's about 15 staff, mixture of paid staff and volunteers. Um, and yeah, up until a couple of months ago, we would deliver to large groups of people. Um, However, well, obviously the world has changed, so that is, yeah, the company have had to take a very different direction because the group of people that we often deliver training to can struggle a bit with technology, but equally, it's our training is all about the experience of having support one to one with people, meeting people, having that communication with people. So it's obviously everybody knows it's more difficult to communicate like this. So yeah, we're having to take a completely different U-turn really on what we do.
Definitely.
So yeah.
That's awesome. So I think yeah, there's a lot to kind of to talk about there, obviously. So I think that something you said that stuck with me there was experts by experience. Was that the word that you used? And I think that's
Yes.
awesome. I think that's great because I think you know someone who will be an expert by experience, they're going to have, an understanding of that thing, beyond someone who may, like, as you said, just because someone's got a degree about something doesn't necessarily mean that they'll have, any experience to relate that to, because someone, and that's not a criticism on people with degrees, because obviously, they're great for so many reasons as well. But I think having that actual first-hand experience can really put that person in a place where they can kind of, be able to relate it to someone else who has it, So I think that's a really good kind of a good point you
Because
made there.
so what somebody with experience brings is what we say is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You can't know that, you can't get that from a textbook. It's about a feeling, and we all, as human beings, we react to feelings.
Yeah.
So and understand things usually through feelings. So it's it's done in a very different way, but a way that one, people can understand, but then also some of the training that we deliver to sort of care staff and nursing staff is about, it's really hard hitting for them, because you can't deny somebody how somebody's feeling about something, or how somebody feels when something's happened. It's not just a case of, oh yeah, it's data and it's there, but actually, it's not about numbers and all of that. It's about how people feel about something when they experienced it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I think as you said, like, a feeling is something you can't really articulate, and you can't really understand on a certain level unless you've experienced it or felt it. So I think that is actually another good point there. So I think that's really cool.
You can't disbelieve it either. So
Yeah.
you might, you can't do that, because that is what it is to somebody personally. So
Definitely. Yeah.
Very powerful. I believe it's very powerful.
Totally. I totally agree. So you were saying that you guys have had to kind of switch as with everybody else with the pandemic. So how has that been with you guys? I know that we kind of did, and we'll talk a bit more about some of the stuff we worked on, but we did the Zoom session together. Have you been like, is that something that some of the people first has been active in, getting the staff and the users involved with Zoom? Is that something you guys have been working on?
Yeah. So the first thing we did was we created I created a WhatsApp group. It was just before lockdown, and we had everybody sort of had that feeling, didn't they, that we were going to go into some kind of lockdown, and so I created a WhatsApp group for everybody. And then we decided to try and use Zoom. I don't know if it started off where we had a staff meeting, and then we decided that we would have a daily team meeting, just to make sure that everybody was all right. And because everybody has different living situations.
Sure.
Some people live on some people with their families, so we just wanted to check that everybody's all right. So now we use it on a daily basis, Monday to Friday, every day for 1 hour. We meet as a staff team.
Brilliant.
So that's just the one Zoom meeting that we have every day.
Perfect.
And the WhatsApp group is just constantly flooded with all sorts of stuff, like daft photos and, Samantha Jameson, one of our development workers, is really good at, making sure that everybody's organized and she's checking that everybody's all right and that everyone's there. And she sends out some sort of, I think there's a thing where, someone's kids have drawn pictures of animals, but then they make the animals look real, and then they're just really funny and stuff like that. They are really funny.
That's awesome. Yeah. So obviously, as I'd imagine, as you're saying, that people can kind of communicate in the WhatsApp group, and they're able to kind of share things, and it's great that you've still got those kind of two separate things to stay connected. Obviously, you've got the WhatsApp group to kind of stay connected with everybody, and obviously then you've got your Zoom meetings, which is something that you do daily, so you can kind of constantly feed updates throughout that. So, and that seems like a pretty effective system.
Yeah, it is. It's worked really, really well, and it's quite surprising for those who have never used Zoom before how quick they got around that. I mean, sometimes people needed a bit of help,
Sure.
You have to get on the phone and we still are for some elements of it. But I don't think anybody's in a rush anymore. So it's a bit more, the world's a bit, sort of outside is a bit hectic, but inside it's a bit more calmed and chilled. And it's like, don't worry about it,
True.
It doesn't matter if something takes a long time, That's certainly how I feel anyway.
No, and I think that's a kind of good outlook. I think obviously we had Matthew from Sunderland People First. We had Matthew on a couple of weeks ago, and he was just amazing. And he seems to have been kind of thriving on the technology side of stuff. He seems to have
Yeah.
really picked that up.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, Matthew's one of our go-to advocates for that kind of support, I must admit. Probably because he's young.
Right. There you go. And I find that
Unlike me, who's never had a lesson in their life on technology apart from just wing it.
well,
Yeah.
I think that that is something that I find quite a lot, or I found quite a lot, in working with just technology, is that there's a big generational gap, right? And the way I look at it, I don't want to kind of repeat myself too much, obviously, but because I feel like I've mentioned this a few times on stream, but I say that it's like kind of, the younger generation, like I feel like I'm a little sister who's younger than me even, and like the way that, well, like when she was like, she can use like all technology, and when she was like 3, she knew how to like work a TV remote and an iPad and stuff, and it's just mind blowing to see. But yeah, and then I said that these people and myself to a degree are like something like I call digital native. I didn't obviously coin the term, but like it's someone who's kind of been brought up like as a native to using like digital kind of software, whereas someone who's of an older generation it isn't. So for them, it's like kind of like learning a new language, So I think that it's just kind of getting used to it, like because like I say, we did drop-ins in Salvation Army and things like that, and we managed to get people in the 80s onto emails, and it's simply just because it's all new to them. So it's not like a case of like, oh, we're going to make you an email today. It's like, no, we're going to have to tell you how to open your laptop, how to press the button which is going to turn it on, how to use the keyboard, and it's just you're starting from zero with some people, because there's some, but I also feel like that kind of builds up, like an aversion and a fear, because they think, well, I've never used it before, so and then they'll be like, oh, it's not for me. But I feel like it's something that everybody can learn, but it might just take more time, right? So
yeah.
Would you agree with that? Do you think that there's like a generational gap? Would you say that?
Oh, absolutely, totally. I mean, when I went to school, you talk when I was doing I was the first year that ever did GCSEs. And we had one computer in the school, and it came out on that computer paper that had holes down the side. The screen was huge, and it was black with green writing on it, and it only processed data, and I looked at it and went, and never went on it. Had no interest in it at all.
There you go. And I mean, that's the thing as well, because it's like, it's something that everybody kind of needs to know, especially in a pandemic like this, but you just don't get taught it, right? It's not like if if you're an adult and you weren't brought up with it, like when you've had no chance to learn this, and there's no like set course that everybody can do, so it can be a bit overwhelming to think like, how am I even going to start this? So I think that you bring up quite a good point there, to be honest.
I do remember in 1998 was the first time I had a mobile phone.
Right.
That was like a brick with an aerial you pulled up. And then
that's awesome.
It was something like 2002 I had my first computer.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having...
I was 30 by that point, so yeah, I never used one.
I remember being like a little kid, and we had one, and it was like this huge brick computer, and I remember like the internet had to be connected to the telephone, so you couldn't use the phone if you're on the internet. It was so crazy, but I remember that. And if you did try and pick up the phone, it would just be like it would just make like a crazy noise.
That kind of noise.
It would be like, what is going on? So, but that's also like the last point on that. But I think as well, it's the fact that technology's changed in the last 40 years more than any other time. Like the technological advancement's been so insane that it's kind of left a lot of people out to dry, because they thought, well, 10 years ago it's completely different. So that's also something that I think causes that thing that we're talking about there. Just gonna catch up with the chat there. And Lynn, one of our learners, said that Lisa will remember floppy disks then.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember doing my dissertation for the university course. I did some open university course, and my dissertation was on a floppy disk.
Wow, really?
I actually found them it was about just after Christmas. I did a clear out, and I found them, and the kids were like, "What are they?"
That's so funny.
Like, you could send them to Beamish.
That's absolutely quality. Yeah, so let's have a little look as well. Matthew's singing your praises in the chat. He said, because Lynn was wondering who you were, and Dan said, obviously, it's Lisa, because I think she might tune in just a little bit late. And then Matthew said that she's an amazing person who works really hard for all of us, obviously, about you. So that's obviously
Thank you, Matthew.
Matthew
I'll
singing
pay
your
you later.
Charlotte says that she also remembers floppy disks, and then Haytham is saying good old dial-up. So that's what it was. Yeah, it was dial-up
I
internet,
know. Yeah.
which is funny.
Oh, that was
So
strange.
yeah, it was it was a pretty crazy time, I think. Okay, so yeah, we touched on a little bit kind of about Zoom and WhatsApp and kind of how you guys have been using those lately. And I think obviously we kind of did those sessions with you guys together with Andy as well. And I think that went really well. I think people loved it, and it was a nice kind of virtual session. But obviously we've done kind of other sessions together in the past, and even with myself as well. Like we worked on obviously We Are All Citizens. So
Yeah.
just for the people who may not know what I'm talking about, could you kind of explain just a little bit about what that project was and what the aim was?
Yeah, certainly. So the project We Are All Citizens came about from, and it's quite fitting with Mental Health Week actually, because we've been campaigning all week on social media. Where it came from is that unfortunately there is a large number of people who have a learning disability and autistic people who are in specialist mental health hospitals. Some of those people shouldn't be there and should be in their own home, but it can be quite difficult because of the system and the way it is, people getting homes, etc. However, NHS England wanted to find a way to check what somebody's quality of life was like. So not just about like, CQC, go in and doing inspections. It was about how somebody feels. Again, it goes back to that feeling, how somebody is feeling, what it's like, and we decided that maybe it would be nice equally to find out what people who had just moved out of hospital, how they were feeling. So we did quite a long consultation with people. Our self-advocates did it, Sunderland People First and a few others, and we decided that we would create this type of workbook where people could read through the workbook and maybe have conversations with their families, their members of staff, to talk about what we call the 7 keys to citizenship. Now, the 7 keys to citizenship are based on the Human Rights Act. So it's things like freedom. Now my mind's gone blank and I've forgotten what they are. I wish Matthew was here because he would know exactly what they are.
It's totally it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. So obviously we've got the 7 keys to citizenship, and basically that is the kind of what's that to illustrate? You think like what's the purpose of these keys?
So the keys are the key areas of your life that everybody needs just to be a citizen, to have citizenship. We'll take so freedom and love is one of them. So freedom and love are the freedom to come and go as you please. Within the realms of the law, what you can do, and have your own front door. They're just little things, but it's right down the freedom of speech, all of that. And then there's love, so there's like having a relationship, having friends, having family, and being able to be with those people that you choose to be with. So it's because people who are either in a hospital or equally can be in social care, some of these areas are not thought about. So you and I might take for granted that we have a key to our front door. True. However, not everybody has that. And that, for me, that means you don't have full citizenship, and you're not fulfilling your full human rights are not being met. So I think that's basically what the whole project is about. So we enlisted the help of Media Savvy, one, to help with the illustrations. So Ella did some amazing illustrations for the book, for the workbook, because we wanted it not to look, we didn't want it to look
too
overly
clinical.
Too clinical. Thank you. That's a great word to use. And we wanted it to look bright and colourful. So you guys designed it for us. We gave you sort of the questions, and we use things. use some emojis in it and things like that. But you know, the hand drawn stuff from Ella is absolutely, they're beautiful. They
Yeah,
really are.
she's great at stuff like that, Ella.
Yes. And then we decided to go with this workbook and the guidance and, you know, all the paperwork that goes with it that people can have to use for themselves. And we would have a film to explain exactly what the 7 keys are. And that's where you and Dan came in.
Yeah.
We did a great film. So Matthew was one of our stars.
Yeah.
Jodie. And then Vicky. Vicky in particular was a young lady who had just moved out of hospital.
Yeah.
She'd been in a hospital for about 6 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be
really
in hospital.
Is, yeah.
And Vicky's story was exceedingly powerful about,
Totally.
you know, how, you know, I mean, you know yourself how some of the stuff she said was, you know, you were quite close to tears, you know, because of some of the stuff that she said.
It really was, yeah.
But now that there were happy tears as well because of the life that she leads now.
Definitely.
Because she has an staff team, she does loads of stuff. I mean, I would definitely recommend anybody checked it out. It's all the stuff is there on Inclusion North's website for people to have a look at. I think what we also said was that the materials could be for absolutely anybody to use. So I used it. I had a go of it, see where, you know, if there was any areas of my life that I might want to improve.
It's a good idea.
And in the film, Matthew talks about having a job because again, employment is, you know, it's quite low for people with a learning disability or people, autistic people, because there's not the right support there to do a job.
Yeah.
And Jodie was about her piece in the film was about having a relationship, her and her fiance Gavin. And again, they met through the friendship groups that Sunderland People First put on, and you know, it's all about that. People don't expect people with a learning disability to have friendships and relationships. It's just not something.
Yeah.
You know, having staff around you all the time, you know, you want staff to be able to think, oh, you know, it'd be really nice if, you know, Joe went out with his friends sometimes, you know, even if it meant staff went with them, but it's not always thought about. It's always an afterthought. It's about, oh, if, you know, somebody's washing done, is the shopping done, what you having for tea? Wow. But actually, what might be really important is somebody visits a friend.
Definitely. And I think that one of the ones that for Vicky, which I remember, which I thought was absolutely amazing, was that she was gathering the courage to go to the shops. And that was something that she really wanted to do. And I remember, like, shortly after the video, she actually did that. She actually went and did that. And I think that that's so amazing. And the people that she had around her as well to kind of support and encourage her, like, I think that's such a good kind of, you know, environment for her, because she says it herself in the video, just kind of the changes from when she was in hospital, having kind of her own independence there. And, you know, it's just, I can't even explain how much of a big difference it made. And it's amazing, you know.
Yeah, I think the sad thing is that, you know, that just going to the simple thing, going to the shop, is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Because when you've lived in an institution for 6 years, you've been locked up for 6 years.
Yeah.
It's again, it goes back to that feeling. We have absolutely no idea what that feels like.
No.
I mean, this is hard enough. Well, I'm at work now, but you know, for 2 months, I was basically locked up in a house.
I know.
You know, with my own family, and that was bloody hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, I love my. That's the thing. I was thinking, but I love my parents so much. But I think if you're locked up with them, I just think you're just going to clash, aren't you? So it's like after a while, you're going to be like, oh my God. So yeah.
I'm sure my kids have an opinion of me.
So, exactly. I'm sure it goes both ways. But yeah. No, but yeah, I honestly, like, I loved, like I said, you said it yourself, I was almost like moved to tears at times, and it was so moving. It really was. And I really, you know, I thought it was such an amazing idea, you know, with the workbook. And just in general to kind of give these people a voice to, you know, because I think that's the important thing as well, is to kind of let these people have a say. You know what I mean? How do these people feel about it is the important thing. So, and I think let them kind of say that's an amazing thing.
And that's hopefully what the workbook will bring, is that confidence to be able to say, well, I really want to go out and make friends. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know, yeah. So
Exactly. And
It's there live, on Inclusion North's website to download as a booklet, but also the videos there, even if just some people watch the video.
yeah,
It'd be nice. I'm not sure that the general public realise that, there's 2,000 plus people still locked up in hospitals.
exactly. Yeah, that's a
Um,
lot of people, right?
it is a lot of people, and majority of those people should be living in the community.
Exactly. And especially, when they can contribute, you know what I'm saying? So much. So I think that exactly that. And yeah, so guys, we'll make sure to put that in the description after the video as well if you're looking for that. So yeah, Inclusion North's website with a link to that. So guys, you can stay tuned for that. We'll make sure to put that in. Yeah, and also kind of mentioning this was more like of like it wasn't like a full project, but it was something we kind of covered, which you guys were there, and obviously because we're just on the same lines of it, but just the Wharton Hall protest, and obviously
Yeah.
Sunderland people first attended that in Monument, and I managed to get a couple of interviews with a few of the guys at Sunderland people first, and they were very eloquent and expressed themselves like really well, I think, in kind of saying how they felt about the situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, and I thought that it was great that you guys kind of managed to you know kind of have such a good kind of number of people out there for that, and I think that was really great as well.
Yeah. So it's interesting you've mentioned Walton Hall because today is the year's anniversary from when the
Wow.
Panorama program was first aired. So I've just come off a call with NHS England to ask. We've been asking, what have you done in the past year and what are your plans to change things for people? So yeah, that went well. But we've been campaigning on social media all week about a campaign called Right to Home. And basically it's that what we're saying is that everybody has a right to a home, but a home isn't just a house, it's all the other things: family, love,
Exactly.
freedom, all that comes with it, all those things that we talk about within citizenship. So please have a look on Facebook and on Twitter for Right to Home, and have a
Brilliant.
look at some of the sad but also good stories that are out there.
Yeah, and I think that yeah, so Right to Home, guys, that's definitely something to look out for. Um, and obviously the thing about Wharton Hall as well is that makes it so kind of like terrifying was that obviously it was on our front doorstep as well. I mean,
Yeah.
which makes it really so scary to kind of see that. And
Absolutely.
for
So that was one of the reasons why we decided. So at the time on Facebook there was a lady called Leo. She calls herself the autism warrior, and she's a parent carer of her son has autism and was locked up in an ATU for many years. Um, she successfully got him out last year, but she decided to carry on the work because she was, she believed other people needed support to do that. So I'd been following her on Facebook, and then Walton Hall happened, and three groups of self-advocacy groups got together across the northeast, and that we decided that we would contact her. So we did, and she said, she was doing some protests around. She wanted to protest around the country, so she was doing
sure.
some in London, some in Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool. There was nowhere in the northeast, so we said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a protest, and so we joined that stripped of your human rights
Brilliant.
protest, and that's the protest you're talking about. Over 200 people attended that, which was great.
Wow, that's such an amazing turnout as well, right?
Well, it was because we went to London on that day, so there was a few of us went to London to join her,
Yeah.
but we had more people out in Newcastle than there was
Wow.
in London. So,
Well, there you
yeah,
go. That's
yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic that people were kind of showing support like that.
I think you're right because people were so shocked that it was on your doorstep. That could happen to people. I think it's when it's close to home it affects you far more.
Definitely, yeah, you certainly feel it far more. And just for anybody, I'm sure that everybody knows what we're talking about, but just in case anybody isn't quite sure, the Owen Hall scandal was at a specialist hospital in County Durham where vulnerable adults were found to be abused, and this got uncovered in a panorama documentary by BBC, and then it kind of all blew up after that. Um, but yeah, so it was great. Obviously, you guys were there. So you just before you touched on you mentioned the fact that you guys have been kind of promoting Mental Health Week because it is Mental Health Awareness Week. So I just wanted to ask kind of what kind of stuff have you guys been doing this week? Have you kind of been active on social media or?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, all of our right to home stuff is all to do with mental health. It's mental health, especially mental health hospitals. So, and it's just bringing up the awareness of basically how how for the public to know that there's people unfortunately locked away in hospitals
Yeah,
like that. Some other work that we've been doing with our CCG, and it's not just this week, it's like a staying connected. So we are actively telephoning,
brilliant.
old-fashioned telephone call,
That's brilliant.
people to check that they're at, just to check out that they've got somebody, they've got enough shopping, or do they need somebody to help with that, or just to check out that people are
Perfect.
well. Um,
Perfect.
the other side of that is that we've offered up public Zoom calls, so
Perfect.
people can, if they can and
Yeah.
want to, they can join a Zoom call, a Zoom chat room, just to try and stay connected with people or meet new people on Zoom. So yeah,
That's awesome, and I
just,
think obviously, I mean, we're all for upscaling digital skills and stuff, but there's occasions when obviously, it could be a boundary if someone can't access a Zoom call, especially if it's someone who's elderly or maybe has kind of some complex learning needs. It could obviously be, a bit of a boundary, and I think that a telephone is something that's accessible to everybody. So obviously that's a great, course of action. And then for those who are kind of more able to go into the Zoom calls, that's obviously perfect. But I think that's an amazing way to kind of check in on everybody. And I think some of the initiatives that I've seen over the weekend, Mental Health Awareness Week, I think that that was one of the prevalent topics or themes, was to kind of check on someone, to ask them how they are, and to kind of speak out and to speak to someone. So it's important to kind of make that step, I think. So I think it's great that you guys are doing that as well.
yeah. I mean, Andy, who's been doing most of the calls, he's had some great feedback. I mean, some people don't want to call and they're not interested, but a lot of people have just said, "Oh, it's absolutely great that it's been lovely that just to chat to somebody,"
Definitely.
because I haven't spoken to somebody for. I mean, in some cases, I haven't spoken to somebody for weeks.
I know.
So that can be, and then equally people don't know about things like Zoom and stuff like that. So yeah, and they don't want to watch a telly because all it is on the telly when you put the news on is COVID related. So
That's the thing, I totally agree, and that's one of the reasons that we made staying connected when we put a key feature of it, which we may have a look at, me and you ourselves, depending on how we do for time, but is good news, and I think
yeah,
we obviously wanted to kind of go away from the news cycle, which is all COVID related. That's the thing. It's like it's bad enough that you're already kind of trapped in your house, and then
yeah,
you put the TV on, and then it's all doom and gloom. It's like it's not good for anybody. So I think that kind of us and just everyone in the community who's been doing it, just kind of saying, well, there is still good things happening in the world. It's not all about this. I think it's really
yeah,
important. Um, so I think
definitely. I mean,
definitely.
yeah. I mean, saying that mind, I think a couple of nights ago there was a thing on Brexit. We all got excited in the house. Oh, they're talking about something else
I
other than
know,
COVID.
it's true, right? Yeah. So okay, there's let's have a little look. All right, so I'm just gonna catch up with the chat a little bit there, guys. Okay, so let's see. We've got plenty there. So Mark, we've got Mark, one of our students, someone who's been with Media Savvy for quite a while. He said, last time I was in Cherry Knoll Mental Hospital, I was in for 7 months, and he said it was a prison in my opinion. So
Yeah,
that's quite interesting.
it is very interesting. Yeah.
And it shows what it is. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, the hospitals I'm talking about are specialists, so they're specialists for people with a learning disability. But there are the
yeah,
regular mental health hospitals like Cherry Knoll or
yeah,
whatever, Hopewood Park or whatever it's called now. And I've never personally experienced being an inpatient. However, I have visited quite a few, and Cherry Knoll, as it was then, was one of them. Yeah, what a place.
Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
that's
I
it.
mean, I don't know how anybody who was unwell is supposed to get well somewhere like that. I'm aghast. I really am, because
Yeah,
just awful place,
I know.
awful place.
And yeah, so after that, Sue said that it was hard taking my first step through the media savvy doors, but once I realized I wasn't alone, I haven't looked back. Still bugging Lisa and Mel and the gang. Well, we obviously appreciate you on all of our sessions, Sue, so thank you very much for that. Um, we had Matthew made a really good point. He said, we've had a few. We've had people who spent a long time in secure hospital says that lockdowns feels a little familiar to them, but they still feel more free than now when they were institutionalized. And he said that, can you imagine if you're feeling locked in your home now, how it must feel for those stuck in the secure settings? So I thought
Yeah,
that was a really good point by Matthew there.
yeah, because people aren't able to have visitors now,
Yeah,
even, so people can't. And hospitals aren't geared up technology wise
no,
because for whatever reason, there's lots of different reasons why. Sometimes I feel it's a bit of an excuse, but sometimes it's, we don't have a computer, or we're not allowed to use Zoom, or all these kinds of things. So I think some hospitals are trying, their best. They're not all bad,
for
but
sure.
people are still locked away, which is not right.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. Yeah, so I think that obviously as you were saying that like is I think that you guys may be kind of moving in with us, right? That's kind of like is that what's happening? Is that like,
Yes, it is. So
okay?
because of COVID,
Hmm.
where we are, we're in an establishment where there's a lot of nursing staff and NHS staff. And because of the new regulations from government about social distancing, including at work, we've been asked if we could the office space that we rent. So we have a very large training room and a decent sized office. They've asked if we, if they could use our office, but then of course, all of this going on could take for up to over a year.
Yeah.
So we still need somewhere. We said yes, you can have our space. It's needed. The NHS need it.
Hmm.
And then I was telling Dan about it, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to work from home, and it's just going to be awful, and it just never seemed never ending. And then if by a miracle, come I don't know, October maybe, we're able to start delivering training again, we won't have anywhere. So Dan came up with a solution that we are going to rent a space in Media Savvy Towers.
That's the
So
one. Yeah.
top floor,
Top floor.
executive room.
The executive room. Absolutely, it absolutely is. So yeah, and I think this is like the best news ever because obviously this means that there could be more Sunderland People First Media Savvy joint collaborations, right? So it makes sense if we're in the same building. But I think it's really great news, and it's going to be awesome to have you guys kind of as neighbors. I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's really
a bit
positive.
more than neighbours.
Yeah, lodges. So there you go, true that. And I think I think obviously maybe like depending on what time we get back, because it might be quite late, it might be winter by the time we get back, but there's a lot of light in that room, so it might be nice if it's still sunny, but who knows what's going to happen with
Yeah.
the COVID and stuff, so we'll see. But yeah, I think that's great news though. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so that's from the 1st of June. So
1st of June.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so that's going to be great. Okie dokie. So I think that's mainly most of the questions I had. I think we might have a little bit of time to look at some positive news together if you fancy it.
Yeah. I'll just get a drink.
Okie dokie. So I know that obviously you're only you're looking at the Zoom call. You don't have a separate window open. So I'll kind of explain what's going on in the article or the video, and we can maybe like feedback to each other. I'll just check up with the chat one more time before we go into some news. So let's have a little look. And Matthew says it's the dream team. And then Lynn said that you're going to regret that move, Lisa! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! And
You're all right, Lynn. I already know what they're like.
and then underneath that, Sue said, "You will love it, Lisa. All of us, brackets learners and stuff, are fun, crazy." So yeah,
Yeah, we are as well. Don't worry about
yeah.
that.
So it's all good, man. And yeah, and then
Yeah, because
obviously, go on, Lisa.
we've done that. Sorry, I was going to say we haven't talked about the cooking with Mel.
Right. Yes, of course. Yes.
Sorry, Mel.
That's something, yeah, we should talk about as well.
Yeah,
So I think the very first session we did with that was exclusively like a Sunderland People first session, right? We did that together.
yeah.
So I thought that was absolutely amazing, and we had
Oh,
yeah, and I think Mel's been making some great stuff. How was the food?
yeah.
Were the reviews good from the guys? Or
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, I particularly liked the chocolate cake.
yeah, oh my god, like I'm like a chocoholic, so for me to see that, it was like
You would
looked
never
amazing.
ever believe, you'd never believe that you were eating what was in it. It was just
I know.
unbelievable.
I know. I know.
Good.
It's crazy, right? That something like it could be that delicious and that healthy. So that's something that I think. Interestingly, we had Paul on last week, who I think is kind of, he's going to be
Yes,
working with some of the people
he's
first.
our newest. Yes, he is. Yeah,
So that's
he's
absolutely
our newest member.
perfect. So obviously the newest member there, and he has a thing called Chef Paul's Challenge, where he's
Yeah,
been. Did you see that? That was awesome, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I hope that you guys, just once again, guys, I'm going to type that in the chat. It's hashtag Chef Paul's Challenge. If you guys have any suggestions, it's on Twitter. Send them into him because I'm really excited to see what he makes next, and I think that Paul was awesome, guys. So look out for that. And he's the newest member of Sunderland People First, so.
Yeah. So he cooked. Oh, what was it? I've forgotten now. Is it beef bourguignon or something that he's going to do? Is that
Oh,
his?
is that the newest one? I haven't seen if that's the newest one. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. Well, interestingly enough, we when we had him on, he had made a pie. I think it was a chicken pie, and
Chicken pie.
everyone in the chat was loving it, right? And so Mel, obviously this week she made a pie because everyone was like I think a few people in the chat were like, "Oh, can we get a pie, Mel?" So
She
yeah,
did pie, didn't she? It was hers a vegetable pie though.
yeah, hers was a vegetable pie, yeah. And
And flapjack.
yeah,
That
and a
was it.
flapjack, yeah. And Matthew was saying that he's our new master chef for Sunday People First, so that's great.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing we did right at the beginning when this all happened is we asked some of the advocates what kind of things they wanted to do. So we have quizzes and stuff sometimes in our team meeting. But one of our advocates, Lauren, loves to cook.
Brilliant.
So we all did cheese scones. So we
Wow.
cooked them. We all cooked them on Zoom at the same time. It was really, really
Really?
good. Yeah. And I'd never made. I don't think I'd ever made scones. Maybe it's at school, but I'd never made scones before.
I've never made them.
I made them a couple of times since, so even for my mum. So
They've been good?
yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I've been cooking a lot more. It's something that's just like ended up happening.
Yeah, I know. I've made pizzas from scratch now with all the dough and everything. It's been really good.
My roommate made one, and I think it was a bit of a disaster. Like it ended up being like a pasty, like a giant pasty, and but I think I still had it, but it didn't. It didn't look the
You've
most
got to get the
appetizing.
dough right,
That was
definitely.
it. That was it. I think you messed the door, but it's something that I would look to do. It looks good.
Yeah, it
But
was. It's good. It's fun. Yeah.
absolutely. So Lisa, I've got an article here we can have a little look at. All right, let's see. Okay, and this is Australia fires related. Obviously, that was a while ago. I'm sure we can still remember. And
Mm-hmm.
it is rescue dog called Bear saves hundreds or at least 100 injured koalas. So it says that an Australian coolie dog who was abandoned by his family has been rescued and retrained to detect koalas. And Bear's been following the aftermath of Australia's bushfires since January, finding sick, injured, and starving koalas who otherwise would have perished. So he's now found more than 100. And there's a little video here. So I think that's amazing that that dog's been trained to do that.
Oh yeah, I can see him on my phone. I'm looking at it on my phone.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see the video. Obviously, might be like a little bit delayed, but on the video there, he's got some really cute little boots. So
Yes. Yeah. Oh, isn't he lovely?
he's absolutely lovely.
That's a dog fan, me.
I'm I'm a fan of dogs and cats. I love them both, probably about equally. But usually it's pretty divisive. Usually it's either cats or dogs, right? But yeah,
Cats can be a bit funny.
yeah. It's saying that he sniffs out the koala and then he sits next to them underneath the tree, and then you can see the koalas in the tree there. Bless
Oh,
them. So that's the
isn't he
lovely.
lovely?
Yeah, and I think that it's you hear all kinds of amazing stories about dogs saving people and kind of just amazing things like dogs saving people from fires and all kinds of stuff like that. So I think dogs really are kind of compassionate animals. I think they really are.
Absolutely.
They're
They're amazing. Amazing things. They're just, yeah, have so much love. I've got two dogs, so I
oh.
absolutely adore my dog. So
I think that
yeah,
they're obviously with it being Mental Health Awareness Week. I think they're amazing social support systems as well.
yeah.
Because with pets, with dogs and cats, it's unconditional love. Well, with a cat, maybe it's not unconditional love most of the time.
Feed me
Um,
and that'd be my friend.
that's the thing, and obviously that they can. I think dogs and stuff can sense when you're feeling down or whatever, and they come over and get pets from you. So I think that they're really good like support system is with our pets. So it's
Yeah,
something great as
yeah,
well. Uh,
yeah.
got an article here that says that carbon emissions have dropped globally 17% amid the coronavirus. So
Yeah.
globally, we haven't seen a drop this big ever. You'd have to go back to World War II to see such a big drop in emissions.
Wow. I'm not surprised, mind.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that obviously we have been covering quite a bit, is just kind of the effect that this has had on, because we're trying to look for the silver lining all the time, obviously. And we've been covering kind of just how it's opened people up to more kind of eco-friendly ideas, and it's helped. Like you can see that there's fish coming back to the water in Venice that hasn't been there for years, and the air pollution's lifted in a lot of places. So I think that's something that's a happy accident of the coronavirus.
Yeah. Somebody said that it was the virus was nature created the virus so that the world could have a rest.
Right, that's quite a poetic way of looking at it. Definitely, I could see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you can't say that, can't you? Especially
Yeah,
the emissions. I mean, where I live, you go for a walk and you can feel the difference in the air. Absolutely,
yeah.
it's fresh air, it's different. You hear more birds. It's just loads of yeah.
Yeah, I totally think so. I agree with you. Well, and also you've seen, I don't know if you've seen this, Lisa, but because people have been indoors so much, like wildlife has started to come out into the cities and stuff. Like deers have started to come into like residential neighborhoods and things like that. I don't know if you've seen any of this. But
Yeah,
it's pretty
so there was isn't there an orca, a killer whale, has been
right.
spotted off
Yeah, I think I
uh,
heard something about that.
and a pod of dolphins. Was it Seaburn the other day?
Yeah, I think I heard something about that as well. Yeah, that's amazing,
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing, absolutely amazing. But we've got where I live, we've got two ducks, a male and a female. So we've got a Sainsbury's local, and there was one day they were actually looked like they were standing in the queue waiting to go in the shop.
Really?
I don't know,
Oh,
they just appeared. We don't know where they're from, and they're not
that's
bothered by people at all.
I saw a video ages ago. Well, it was last year, I think, and it was of a seagull. It goes into Greg's and it steals a bag of crisps and then just leaves. Like it puts the bag of crisps in its mouth and then just walks out. I'm sure someone in the chat might have seen. I'm sure it was in the novice. So I'm sure someone in the chat might have seen that video.
Yeah.
Really hilarious stuff. Yeah, the newest article I've got up here is, or the next article is, Mount Everest, obviously just on the same lines, is visible from Kathmandu, Nepal, for the first time in living memory. So that's a pretty cool thing as well. And you can see there's a picture here. I mean, that looks absolutely amazing to see Everest,
Yeah.
in the distance
Wow.
there. It's absolutely amazing, right?
It is.
And they say that's the first time in living memory. So that's, like some of the visible proof of, the emissions kind of going and the air pollution clearing up just a little bit.
I think what else is interesting, we've had some decent weather as well. I
We
mean, it's a
have.
bit windy today, and we've had the odd patch of rain, but I don't know. It just seemed that the rain stopped.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I think it's a good point. I feel like the last couple of days, especially, it's been really nice and warm, and I think that it helps. Especially if you're getting out in the sun for a bit and you're getting that vitamin D, and I think vitamin D can kind of be something that can promote a bit of well-being. I think you feel a bit better
Definitely.
if you've been out in the sun. So
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely it couldn't come at a better time, really. I mean, people could argue is the glass half full, half empty. People could argue that, oh well, we're indoors, so we're not out to enjoy it. But now with the unlimited exercise that we've been allowed, and so on,
Yeah.
we're able to finally get out and kind of enjoy a little bit of it. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
I
too
think
bad.
even if you could just sit out in it, that's certainly how I've enjoyed it.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a garden that I can sit in, so yeah,
Yeah,
and just sit in it whenever I can.
exactly, and you would. I live right next to a park, so I've been going down there quite a bit, and it's absolutely lovely. Just have a little stroll around there.
Yeah.
It's really lush.
Definitely.
Okay, got a nice one here, which I thought was quite funny. Because we did one quite a while ago that was IKEA released a recipe for the meatballs.
No,
Initially I got really excited about that because I thought IKEA meatballs are delicious. Then I found out that it wasn't the exact recipe, but it was a similar recipe. So I felt a little bit betrayed, but I thought, well, it's still pretty good. Apparently, it tastes just like it, but it's not the exact recipe because they can't give away their secrets apparently. So, but yeah, so this here is that IKEA have released instructions on how to build the 6 best blanket forts for your home quarantine, and obviously. I guess you've obviously been to IKEA before, Lisa, and
oh,
yeah, you see that
no,
when they have the
no,
the flat pack instructions, right? Well,
yeah,
they've got like the kind of diagrams, but for like blanket forts.
yeah.
So
I thought this.
you
I
see
thought it was
this,
quite fun. Yeah,
yeah,
I did. Yeah,
brilliant,
and
brilliant.
it brought back memories of being a kid.
Yeah, exactly. I remember making. I mean, yeah, I think that blanket forts are the best. I remember being a kid and just making some really kind of elaborate ones, especially this one here that's called Castle, and having the 4 chairs with a blanket on top. That is definitely a fort
Yeah,
that I made before.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Like mine used to be from the sofa, and then we had an old piano, and it went. I
Okay.
used to lift the blanket under it, and it would be between.
Uh,
And if people come in the room, I had to dismantle it, so that wasn't good.
yeah, but it's not something that easily gets dismantled, right? It's like you have to put that was always the thing. It was like knowing that I had to put it back if I made a fort, and I would just think like, don't want to do that. But yeah,
Some of them are amazing, though, aren't they?
oh, they really
Just
are.
I remember I'm thinking, wow. I mean, the chairs and that's one. There was one of them, but that one, the castle one, it
Yeah,
says, you put a set of fairy lights on a is that a
it's
coat rack?
it looks like a coat rack. Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's a coat rack. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit posh. That one.
Well, what it is as well is I really like this, but there is obviously the like kind of marketing aspect to this where it's like if you make this perfect font with this IKEA product, it's like
Exactly.
there's that
Yeah.
side to it as well. But obviously, otherwise, it's there's some pretty cool
I
ideas
mean,
in
look at that. I mean that one entails how many? What is that? Are they like?
They're like
Oh,
like mini.
sofa.
Oh, it's sofa, right? So you're taking out the parts of your sofa, and
Yeah.
that's really cool, actually. That one. So you got a sheet, and you basically wrap the sofa in the sheet, and then you clip it with clothes pegs, or
Yeah.
some kind of pegs, just wooden pegs. So I think that's really cool. And then one more is the TP, and I think that's really cool. That one's a bit more intricate. Um,
Oh, is that the one over the table? Yeah. Oh no, that's the house. Right.
yeah,
Oh, the forklift, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
the
the little TP. So that's really cool as well. So yeah, some thought ideas for you there, guys. If any of you have kids, or even if you're just really bored and you, you want to, you just
Fancy doing some DIY over the weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Who knows, right?
Take the
Guys,
fortress and a glass of wine.
yeah, exactly. Why not? So, guys, it is that time. It is survey time, guys. I will post it into the chat. Please make sure you do it, guys. I know it is a little bit tedious to do a survey, especially if you watch quite a few of the streams. But as I say, it really helps us out. So we would really appreciate it if you could do it, guys. And I'll just find that survey and then I will post it into the chat. And then I'll catch up with the chat a bit as well and see what, unless it's already been posted. If there's we'll see. Okay, I think we need to catch up with the chat because it seems like there's quite a few people that said stuff. Okie dokie. I'm just gonna paste the link to the description. To the description because the link's in the description. Say, it really helps us out. Paste the link to this room. Okay. Right, perfect. And I'll just paste that there. So yeah, guys, please do the survey if you can, guys. It would really help. And like we said before, I don't have the survey alarm. Haytham's got like a fancy survey alarm now, which is really cool, but I don't have that at the moment, so we'll have to have that back again next week. But yeah, I'll quickly catch up with the chat. I've just so if you can, guys, just do that survey. Like I said, it'll take about a minute max. Okay, and let's have a little catch up here. Yeah, so Lynn was saying that Diego better be careful because he's got competition with Bear the dog. Awesome. And then they were saying, Sue was saying that Sue's been approved for a guide/assistance dog, and she was waiting 3 years to be accepted. So awesome! I'm so happy to hear that, Sue. And I'm sure that when you've got him, he's going to be an amazing companion for you. So that's perfect. One of our learners, Anthony, said, "I've seen the crisp pinching seagull," and Matthew says it's very in character for those kind of birds. And Anthony as well says that vitamin D helps process calcium for the bones as well. So that's a good point there. Nice fact there. And Sue as well says it's the sauce that makes the difference to the meatballs. That's right. They've got like a peppercorn sauce. And if you've ever had them before, Lisa, but
yeah. Many times.
There you go.
Kids just want to go to IKEA for the meatballs.
There you go. And you can get like they do like ice cream as well, which is like £2 or something. It's like chocolate and vanilla one. It's actually all right. It's pretty good. Yeah. So and then Sue was talking about a fort. She was saying blankets overlapped from the coal bunker to kitchen drain pipe was my fault. So that's an interesting one.
Outdoor one.
Yeah, that's
very adventurous.
That's an outdoor one. Yeah. Awesome. And Matthew was talking obviously about Haytham's survey alarm, and he's saying it's loud, very loud. So yeah, it is a bit loud. I think he's deafened a few people with that. Yeah. So guys, if you could get those surveys done for us, that would be a big help. And me and you we're about done, Lisa. Do you have anything that you'd like to add at all, or anything that you'd like to say, or?
No, just thank you for having me. It's been really nice chatting, and yeah, hope everybody has a really nice weekend, and hopefully the wind dies down a bit and the sun holds out. So
perfect. Yeah, hopefully we can get out, catch a couple hours of sun, before it goes down. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today, Lisa. I think you're a great guest, and we really appreciate having you on. So,
okay. And I'll see you.
Yeah, you'll see me soon. So that's right. So guys, yeah, me and Lisa are gonna go. I'm gonna leave the advice lines on a separate screen for just a couple of minutes, just so you guys can have a little look at those. Obviously, we've been Mental Health Awareness Week as well. And yeah, guys. So I guess I'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining us, and I'm just gonna put the advice lines on now.